Shannon.
Hey, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good. So I'm trying to work on my intro and everything, but every week it gets a little bit better, I feel. And so this is What's Your Story? And my guest today is Shanon Edwards. And we're going to talk about Shannon's incredible journey. There's a movie and book, I'm sure, still to come, from like Hollywood / Los Angeles, California to Eganville, Ontario. So there's got to be a huge story behind that journey, Shanon. I mean, I'm not going to say why would anybody want to go to Eganville, Ontario when you started out in Los Angeles, California. That's because that's exciting to me, the idea of Los Angeles, California.
Okay, all right. Well, to start off,
How did your journey start?
Oh, thanks for having me, Rebecca.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, as far as the intro that goes, maybe you need like a little type of jingle or something. What it's called. What's your story, right?
What's your story? Yeah.
Something like "What's your story?" Woo-hoo, or some type of jingle or something. Something catchy to get in people's heads. Maybe I don't know. But,
I like it.
But thanks for having me, and it's you just put a lot on me there as far as making this interesting. But yeah, I have a lot to talk about if you want to listen. The thing is, I all these stories I'm about to tell you, they are true. They are true, very true. But I don't normally talk about them because I'm very humble and I don't like to, let's say, sound like I'm bragging about things in my life. I've had some very crazy things happen in my life, so to speak, and I'm happy and I'm blessed that they happen. But I don't necessarily talk about them unless someone like yourself ask about them, and I start to tell stories. So I just want to make that clear that when I'm telling a story and I say this and that and I was here and I was there, it happened. It just happened, and I'm just sharing the story. And
Well, absolutely. And I feel like we are lagging a little bit, so I hope I don't talk over you too much. I'll try to let you do most of the talking, but sharing your story is why I wanted you to be here, Shanon. Absolutely. And your story is really fascinating to me because we just touched a little bit on a few of the details of your life, but so I know there's a lot more that I haven't heard. But you were born in California, right?
Yep, Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. And it kind of starts there because you were born to parents who were already both your mom and your dad were very creative individuals, right? And both in the music industry, weren't they?
Well, yes, they were. My mom and I basically were the only two that were in the picture, so to speak.
Okay.
I never met my father, but he was a popular jazz musician in Italy. And at the time when I guess I was conceived and born, things didn't work out with him and my mom. And there was a decision that she would go ahead and raise me and he would go ahead and be the superstar that he was. So now that he's out of the picture, let's just stick to me and my mom.
Perfect. Sounds good. Because your mom herself had a really interesting story. Melissa Chapman was her name, right? Melinda Chapman.
Melinda Chapman, yeah.
Melinda.
My mom grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana. She was raised by her grandparents because her mom passed away at a younger age as well. And my grandfather remarried to a woman in Los Angeles. And so my mom was raised by his parents in Louisiana. And so she was she was always into music. Went to college. Was always in singing, and like when she went to college, she majored in singing. I don't know what they call that. What's the actual major? If they even have one.
I don't know.
Yeah, if they even have one like that
Music.
anymore. It was part of like a choir of some sort, I don't know, but I don't know what they call it. But singing was her main goal, and she had a great voice. She had a beautiful voice, and so she decided to focus on becoming some type of a singer all of her life. She wanted to have records. She wanted to become a pop star, so to speak. That never really happened, but she never gave up on her dream. And so she ended up moving to Los Angeles, where at the time in the early 70s and late 70s and early 80s was Hollywood. Now you look at Los Angeles and it's like, as far as Hollywood, it's a lot of let's say, I don't know if you've ever been to Hollywood before, like the actual.
Never. I'd love to go.
Okay, we had some friends go to Hollywood recently, and they asked me, "Oh, they're all pumped up and everything. Oh, Hollywood, we're going to Hollywood." And I said, "Don't get your hopes up too high because it's a show. Let's just it's perceived different than what it actually is." And so she got into the music business very early. She met somebody from a radio station, and they got her connected to Motown Records, and Motown Records, who was originally out of Detroit, like the actual Motown sound. They moved to Los Angeles, and she got a job working at Motown Records. And that was her first step into getting into the real music industry. It wasn't a job singing or anything. It was more of a like a secretary position, actually. So
Yeah.
she kind of got her foot in the door, doing something that she necessarily didn't want to do, but she wanted to work in the music industry, so to speak. So she was a secretary working at Motown, and then it's kind of like you see in the movies where, oh, we need somebody to maybe voice this, like at the radio station, and oh, okay, such and such has a great voice. Let's bring them in. Because my mom would sing everywhere. My mom would sing wherever she'd go. We'd be at the bus stop. She'd be embarrassing me. And we'd have every random guy come up and say, "Oh, you have a beautiful voice." Because she was a pretty, I'd say, outspoken person. She wasn't necessarily a beautiful, like slim person. She was a pretty heavy set woman. And I'll get to that in a minute. My mom was a pretty heavy set woman, but she had a voice that would attract men in a certain way, like an angel, So, so the people always knew that she was singing because she was always singing around Motown and actually starting to meet different artists. And one of them were the Commodores, and the Commodores, who sung the song "Brick House" and a whole bunch of other songs, they had a member of the group who was their lead singer, and he was Lionel Richie. Or he is Lionel Richie from American Idol now, and the guy who's done pretty well for himself so far. So she started to get in a relationship with them, and they were having an album come out, and they knew that my mom had a great voice, and so in order to, I guess it would say, cut down on some cost, they asked my mom if she wanted to sing on one of the Commodores records as a backup.
Wow.
And so that's how it all started. As far as she sung on the track called "Lady, You Bring Me Up" as a background singer.
I love that song. Yeah. And that must have been so exciting for your mom, even though I know she wasn't doing exactly the thing that she might have been hoping she would get to do. She was still within the music industry, meeting really interesting music industry types. And now she's singing background on some hit records. That must have been exciting for her. And how old would you have been around that time, Shanon? What do you remember?
I think I would have been around that time. I was probably around 6 or 7. Okay. So it really, for me at that time, it really didn't mean anything. And I was, she would bring me along, and that's another part of a lot of things where I was always brought along, and I had no clue or as to any points of excitement because it was just my mom bringing me to work where I'd rather be playing with He-Man, Yeah. So, it was exciting for her, of course. I mean, because that not only was the Lady You Bring Me Up, the first connection she had with Lionel Richie and the Commodores, but it also opened other doors for other artists for her to sing on as well. Then she started doing. She became friends with a really good R&B singer named Tina Marie, who worked with Rick James, and I can remember very vaguely going to Motown Records as I was a kid and sitting on Tina's lap and her playing around and everything, like certain memories you have in your head,
Yep.
and being in the studio and seeing things, so it was stuff like that's it's kind of crazy how, it was so long ago, but this was the start of her career starting to blossom as a backup singer.
And so you're going through all of that. You're 6, 7 years old. Your mom is kind of doing her music industry thing, and time is going on. Like, you then evolved as you grew up a little bit more, Shannon. You guys are still living. Were you an inner city kid at that point? Did you tell me that at one point that you?
Yeah, well, yeah, growing in Los Angeles, any type of well, I won't say I was an inner city kid, but I was right in the middle of everything in the early '80s, and uh, my mom knew that growing up in that city at the time, you had options. And when I say you had options, you mean you had options to go this way or that way as far as uh, what influences you could have in life. And so my mom decided to as a single parent, to take the approach to making sure that I didn't have any options at all. That I only had one option, and that was to be focused at going to school and doing things on a positive note. And so she put me in the YMCA programs, and I'm what they call a Y baby. Yeah, I grew up through the Los Angeles YMCA since I was young, like after school programs. Camping, and anything that has to do with learning how to be a positive role model in your community. So it
So what
really,
a great mom to direct you that way, and to understand that getting you involved in something like the Y was probably going to be a really good way to help you find a direction to, Shannon. What a great mom. You must, when you look back, and I can tell the way you talk about your mom, you're so proud of her and the way that she raised you.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, she she had it. I won't say we were rich, even like because she started getting more jobs after Motown,
Mhm.
because she only worked for Motown for a few years, and then after that she ended up and applied to work with Dick Clark Productions. He at the time, American Bandstand was huge, and as I sit here and think about it, we used to watch people dance on TV all the time. Like, if you wanted to learn the new dances, I mean, there's TikTok now, but we had the original TikTok back in the day, with all the new songs and all the new moves. Whether you watch American Bandstand or if you watch Soul Train, whatever you're into, it was watching people dance. And my mom got another secretary slash job working for. When I say secretary, I mean back in the day it had a different name, but basically it was like a secretarial position,
Right, right.
for it. And then it was like an entertainment. It kind of transformed into working with entertainment. So, and making sure that they were booked. That was her like a media production type. They call the manager of the whoever. Let's say Rod Stewart was coming on. They call Rod's manager and say, you have a show today, and Rod's manager would say, yeah, Rod's going to be there. So that was pretty much her job for American Bandstand and Dick Clark
Right.
Productions at the time. And so, since she was working on the show, she decided that, hey, you know what? Everybody's on her dancing and everything. How about I get my son and my sister to jump on the show and dance as well? So we ended up dancing on the show. I was a little kid, and my aunt, who was aunt, however you say it, is about 6 years older than me. So she was pretty much a teenager at the time, and we're kind of short, but you can see us in a lot of there's a lot of videos on YouTube in the '80s, uh, and you can see us dancing on several clips. And there's parts where Dick used to sit. He used to sit with the crowd before he introduced the next band, and you can see me sitting there, amongst the crowd, and just looking like, why am I here? So, and again, I was never ever like, I'd never go to school, and I'd never brag about it, or I never felt like I'd tell my friends, hey, guess what? I got to go dance on American, because number one, it wasn't Soul Train because I was a little black kid. Right. And number two, I just didn't feel like I had to sit there and brag about it, because it was just something that it was just that my mom had me do, and it was basically, she said, you need to do this. And I was like, okay. So I really wasn't even impressed to, like, when I even met Dick, or his wife Carrie, who were lovely people. And I'm not going to say impressed. I wasn't starstruck. I was
Right.
never starstruck when I met these people. And same thing with Lionel Richie. My mom, at the time, she was working with Dick Clark, because she left Motown. Lionel still wanted to keep that connection, and she did do backup singing for Lionel Richie. To go back to that, if you listen to the song All Night Long for Lionel Richie, she's all over that album. Just Can't Stop. I think that the album is called, or something like that. And in the very first part of All Night Long, there is a little tiny sound effect that goes, yeah, 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 cuckoo, cuckoo. And
I
that's my
remember
mom.
that.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
your
my mom.
mom?
That's my mom. And so, look at your face. And so,
Well, that's so cool, because I know that sound effect from that, because I love that song and that whole album, and I do remember that. That's a huge establishing part of that song. That's
yeah,
incredible.
and she's in the music video as well too. So he does, right before he sings the first verse of All Night Long, he points to he points up, and you see her dancing with a little boy on top of a balcony, or like a fire escape of some sort on top of
Yeah.
a building. So she's in the music video as well.
I'm
So
gonna go back now and watch the music video. I'm sure I've probably seen it a million times when I was younger, but now I'm gonna watch it again with a whole new perspective. That's so cool, Shannon.
yeah, and so dancing on American Bandstand and seeing, like, I saw so many live groups from the 80s. I remember, now that I think about it, it's like I had like mini concerts every week, seeing the Bangles when they first came out, the Cars, all these retro 80s groups, Huey Lewis and the News. I saw them on the show. The Stray Cats. I was there when the Stray Cats were performing Stray Cats
Oh,
Strut for the
cool.
first time on. It blows my mind that I lived through all of that. And these songs that are now, like classic 80s retro hits, that I saw these performers before when they were just starting. So and all because of what my mom was doing on American Bandstand. So
That's
it was,
incredible.
yeah.
And so your mom, and I did read a lot about her online before the interview today, Shannon, because you had said, hey, just Google my mom and you'll find, and I did find a wealth of information. It's incredible, the career that she had and the life that she had. And at one point, because you had told me you worked on a cruise ship, and I noticed online your mom had worked on a cruise ship. Did she start in working in the cruise ship industry first, and that's what led you to it?
No. Well,
No.
yes, she did actually. It's how can I explain this? Okay, let me just say, my mom got to perform on a cruise ship way before I got my cruise ship job, and I almost forgot about this because there was so much that she did in her life. Dick Clark had this traveling show at the time that was just on cruise ships, and it was Dick Clark's like cruise review or something like that. And they had the Shirelles. They had this singer called D. Clark. They had a bunch of older rock and roll groups from back in the days, and she was picked up to sing with one of the original members of the Shirelles, and they did this show every week on the cruise ship. And that was actually the first time I went on a cruise, because she'd take me everywhere, and we'd cruise every weekend because she'd have to go do a gig. And so that was my first experience of being on a cruise. And so these shows were huge, by the way, too.
I'm
So
sure.
and so she actually performed on the cruise ship before I did. I was a DJ on the cruise ship for 12 years for Carnival Cruise Line. Then that's where I met my wife, on the cruise ship, my very first cruise ship. And we both worked with kids on the ship until I transferred to the position of disc jockey. And then my mom actually joined Carnival Cruise Lines as a one-woman band or one-woman show. Sorry, no, one-woman band. And she had the cymbals and everything.
Yeah, a million instruments.
Yeah, one-woman show, and she'd come on, and not only did she make more money than I did in 30 minutes of just singing like Motown songs, but she was only on the ship for like 2 or 3 days, and then she'd go to the next ship and make more money than I ever had ever doing the 12 years that I was on Carnival Cruise Lines. So it was crazy. Like she showed me her check one day and I was like, I wish I could sing because I can't carry a note. So I wish I could sing. So I would.
Well, I was going to ask you if you sing at all, having your dad and your mom both having been musicians. That's what I was wondering about. Have you ever attempted to sing? And maybe you have a talent you don't even know, Shannon.
Oh, we've all attempted showers, a car, we've all attempted to sing. And so we all know how much, and my wife, she knows I can't sing. So it's people who love me who tell me, no, you can't sing. So it's
karaoke. Haven't you tried? Everybody's tried karaoke.
Actually, yes, I'll do karaoke. As a DJ, I still DJ. So as a DJ, I host karaoke, and I'll sing. Okay. I'll sing a tune because karaoke is basically, you can sing out of tune for karaoke. So it's karaoke. So
yeah, I know it is what it is. And with karaoke, if you are the karaoke DJ, then you have to get the crowd going, right? If nobody's getting to sing, you're the one who has to get them rolling.
Exactly. Right. So, I can't sing. Let's just leave it at that. I cannot sing.
No. Fair enough, Shannon. So, but back to the cruise ship and meeting your wife, because you have an interesting story. The two of you worked together, but you weren't together until quite some time after, because you were both kind of dating other people. And cruise ship kind of sounds like it was there was a lot going on there with people dating people, and I guess there would be.
What are you insinuating?
Well, I'm just saying, it sounds like it was kind of, there's a lot of people all stuck together on one ship, working together. I can only imagine.
Cue the Love Boat theme. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Ken, and give us the dirt.
Well, I'll just say this. Okay. My wife and I, we've been happily married now for 20 years this year. And
congratulations.
We have 2 lovely boys, and I worked probably 6 months before she actually walked on the ship, and I saw her walk in, and the very first day, all green and hi, she was hi, like we all are when we first see this huge cruise ship, excited and everything, and so we worked together. Everything was nothing but, professional. For the first. I'd say, well, we were both in different relationships, or I was trying to be in a relationship with somebody else, and she was in another relationship. And so we both were just basically friends, and we talk about our issues with our, accomplishments and trying to get, somebody else. And so it never panned out or even crossed my mind that I was even interested in her. And there was a situation where I saw one of the guys the guy she was dating, not one of the guys, but the guy she was dating, treating her disrespectfully. And I thought maybe she should probably check into that, and it turned out that they just didn't work out, because relationships on cruise ships when you're young, it's just like high school, basically, this person's seen that person and this person's seen that person, plus alcohol. And so lots of alcohol. Dollar beers were the thing back then. So you can have dollar beers. We had our own crew bar, and
wow.
And you can get a beer for $1. And so that was the cheapest drink you can get. Yeah. That was pre 9/11 though. Okay. Yeah. So after 9/11, boy, everything just changed on cruise ships for the better. I'd say for the better. But so we were able to go to the dance club because I was interested in being a DJ. The minute I got on there and found out there was a club on there on the cruise ships, I had no idea. And I would go up to the disco because if you're at a certain position that you're working, you could have time to go upstairs and party with the guests at the time. And we were up there, and we were both single, and one thing led to another, just like the Cupid shot my heart, and there you go.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Got a couple of dollar beers into you, and
Yeah,
boom.
you got it. And 23 years later, here we are. So,
That's awesome. But okay, but here we are in Eganville. So how do you make the jump from the upbringing you had in Los Angeles, and then the cruise ships, and then what am I missing? What's that blip between the cruise ship and Eganville? What brought you up to Ontario? Is she from here, your wife?
Yeah, love make you do crazy things. I tell you. Yeah, I was it after the cruise ship. I really had no place to go. So I said, okay, I guess I'll go. No, she's from the area, and I had no problems with migrating to Canada.
No,
and
it wasn't like a culture shock, Shanon, after the life that you'd had and moving around and all the freedom. And it sounds like you had a really cool life. It wasn't moving to a small, because Eganville's fairly small, right?
Oh yeah, we have one traffic light, and if that's small, if that means small, some places don't even have a traffic light. I know that, but yes, it was a change that took some getting used to a certain degree. But I worked, like I said, remember I was a Y baby. I said so. I used to run a children's camp that was at least 2.5 hours away from out of Los Angeles, in the mountains, about 7,000 feet elevation, and this was a 500-acre camp, and we had cabins, and we brought inner city kids up every week from different YMCAs across Los Angeles. And so I ran that camp for 5 years. And so it was nothing but trees, and we got snow, and we have more snow actually than what in some parts of what we get here in Eganville, so I was already plowing snow and feeding horses and doing, the rugged camp life stuff. So it really wasn't that much of a culture shock. The only thing that I can really say that still bugs me are the bugs. I can't. Here in England, we get really bad bugs during the summertime for a little bit, and I swell up pretty bad from the bites. So, but there's that's the only thing I can complain about. I would not trade anything in this world to. I have a house right now, and I have kids that I'm raising that can run outside in backyards without any trouble as of right now. Everybody in the community here, they know who we are. It's a very strong community. And growing up in Los Angeles, my mom and I, now we weren't rich, but she took care of us where we always had clothes, or I always had clothes on my body, and we always had food to eat. But we did travel from one apartment to another apartment to another apartment. She was a single parent, and the life in Los Angeles, as far as keeping food on the table, could be hard at times. As far as gas in your car, just the regular struggles that a single parent would have. And so she did a great job of making sure we always had a roof over our heads, and I was able to do a lot of things because of her. So I owe everything to her. Me being able to be out here, I have to say it's part of a reflection of what she taught me. Work hard and never give up, and be a positive person for your community, and be loving to your family, and be trustworthy. Don't treat women with respect, because she was a single parent, and she was raising a little boy, and she had jerks that she was dating as well. And I saw guys come in who try to be father figures, and they were gone because they weren't treating her with respect. And so she would always teach me, treat women with respect, and just be a positive person in life. So,
wow, I wish I'd had a chance to meet your mom, Shanon. What an amazing woman she was. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, and so one story I wanted to share at one time was like when I wanted to say that. Remember, I told you that I would never tell these stories unless someone asked. But there was things that happened because she worked with after Dick Clark, she worked with a whole bunch of uh, Dick Clark owned a lot of award shows, or his name is on a lot of award shows, like American Music Awards. He has connections with the Emmys at the time. I think he had, and so um, she worked on a whole number of award shows, and
Yeah.
I would be able to go to those shows actually, and I was a seat filler, or I was a
Okay.
talent, or I was a talent um go getter, or like like a fetcher, like
A
boy,
watcher? A
like
fetcher. Oh, fetcher. Okay.
the one time she put me in charge of all day of being Little Richard's, Little Richard. Yeah,
Yeah.
she put me in, and she didn't tell me this, and I was a teenager then, and I knew who Little Richard was. Like, I knew how crazy he was, and she told me to make sure Little Richard had everything he needed, and that was my job for the day, as far as going and grabbing him food, making sure his people were taken care of, and it was all backstage at some. I think it was like a Soul Train award show. And he was a
Right.
very nice. He wasn't crazy. He was very, very, very nice. And uh, I say again, I as a teenager, I was surprised and I was laughing that she had put me, with this person who was very, outgoing and, like, honey child, hey, the way he was acting and whatnot. It was a riot. But she would do things like that to make me try to feel uncomfortable, which it really didn't, it didn't work most of the time, except for one time where she really got me. Because she would always put me with stars, or try to introduce me to stars that would make me go, you know, oh my God, I just met. She knew every time. I could care
Yeah.
less who I was working with, like we used to go over to, I'll tell you about the time in a second, but I'm gonna go back. We used to go over to Lionel Richie's house, okay, and help him
Cool.
decorate his Christmas tree, because she was working as an assistant to his wife at the time, Brenda, and Nicole Richie was a little girl. I remember playing with her, and we were all decorating the Christmas tree and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the whole time she would look at me and she would say, "Isn't this crazy? Isn't this exciting?" And I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, like we still gotta put this tree together, like that's just the way I was." So there was one time when I was a teenager, like I think I was like a junior in high school, so I was definitely interested in girls at the time, and so she introduces me to these two people backstage at some show, and one's this guy named Blair Underwood, okay, and I
I
don't know if
know who
you.
Blair Underwood is.
Yeah, like she was like, oh my God, hello there, right? And so
Yeah.
she knew it. So Blair Underwood, and there's this woman standing right next to him, and my mouth is just dropped. I'm like, look at this. This is like one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm just like,
Who was it?
hold on. So she's introducing me to Blair Underwood, and I'm like, hi, Mr. Underwood, this and that. And I'm looking at this woman. I could care less about Blair Underwood. I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And so we walk away after introducing to Blair Underwood. And I'm like, whoa. Who was the woman next to Blair Underwood? And my mom goes, oh, she just had an album come out, actually. I can call her back. I said, no. This is the only time I said, no, don't call her back. And she said, no, I can call her back. Let me call her back, because I know her too. I'm so sorry, honey. Let me call her back. Paula, come here. It's Paula Abdul, right?
Whoa.
So Paula comes back, right? And she goes, oh, my son just really wanted to meet you. He thought you were so pretty. And if I could turn purple, if I could turn like blushing, I probably was just like, oh, that is the only time. And I do tell that story. That's the only time she really ever really got me. And Paula
Yeah.
gave me a big hug and a kiss and whatnot. And I was just like, oh my God. So I mean, that's the only time she really got me. So
But she finally did it. She worked.
but
She worked for a long time to make that happen.
yeah, so yeah. But I could honestly, I've done things like I've had the opportunity to go on award shows and become seat fillers. So when the stars get up to accept the award or they get up to a present of award, I'm able to sit down. I'm able to come in and sit down in their seats. And so I sit amongst the stars, right? Well, I'm a huge basketball fan. And here I am coming down to be a seat filler. You have to run and move because it's in between commercials. So they say, go down to this seat right here. Hurry up, quick. And you go in and you sit down. And you might not realize who you're sitting next to. Well, I sit down on the jacket of somebody, and it's probably one of the biggest idols of basketball in Los Angeles. It's Magic Johnson sitting right next to me, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, and he's like, excuse me, son, you're sitting on my jacket. And I went, oh, okay. and you know, things like that where you make I sat next to Magic Johnson for it was probably 10 minutes, but it's still, the little things like that where I couldn't have done something like that if it wasn't for my mom. So
yeah, that's so cool though. And when you're a seat filler, or back then, I don't know, maybe it works differently now, Shannon, but were you told not to chat with the people around you?
Yeah.
I'm sure if they initiated a conversation, you could.
Right. If they initiate the conversation, and there's some people who you sit next to and they're like, are you enjoying the show? Some stars enjoy, they enjoy chatting, right? Initiating the conversation, because.
Do you remember anybody you met back then, or when you were a seat filler, that stood out in your mind that was really not a nice person or not a good experience?
No, never.
That's good.
Never. No. There's been times where I was backstage. Well, I was backstage, and the security guards, because of the right reason, they had to say, "Get out the way," because it was Michael Jackson coming through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, everybody, they're like, "Get out of the way," and so I was able to see Michael Jackson from about 15 feet.
But you never got to sit on his jacket or anything.
No, I never got to sit on Mike's jacket, so, but like, again, I've seen so many concerts live because of my mom's connections. We had a chance when my wife was visiting one time. My mom just out of the blue said, you guys want to go to Luther Vandross concert? And we're like, yeah, sure.
Nice.
And so we ended up going to a concert and ended up backstage. Like nothing. Like it was an everyday routine for us to go ahead and go backstage after the concert, because this is what she had the connections with. The connection she had was crazy. So
did your mom ever get to visit Eganville?
Yes, she did. She came several times, baptisms and my wedding and whatnot. And I think I mentioned that my mom was a heavy set person earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah. You were going to tell us something more about that, I think.
She was one of the first candidates in Los Angeles for gastric surgery, for the stomach stapling.
Right. Gastric bypass.
Gastric bypass, yeah. So all her life, she was a fairly heavy set woman. And if you see the video, you'll see how heavy she was in the video. But when she got that surgery at the time, man, did she ever lose a ton of weight. And I know it's a common surgery now, and it's probably, perfected to a certain point. But when she got that surgery at the time, it was a very risky procedure, because this was in I want to say the late 80s, early 90s, I want to say. And it only changed her life for the better, because it made, she had tried to manage and do things with her weight for many years. And having the surgery was something that made her feel that she can now go out and, be the person that she really wanted to be. So, yeah. So, but she lost, most of the pictures of her online are, of course, after the surgery, but the striking difference between how much she weighed at the time to how much she lost is crazy. Well,
I'm going to go back now and watch some of those videos, and I'm going to even bring out some of my vinyl, because I have a couple of Lionel Richie albums, like the vinyl from back then. And I keep saying I'm going to buy a turntable so I can listen to them again. So this is more now convinced me that I need to do that, so I can pull out the vinyl and listen to those albums again. And I'll watch some of those videos and watch for your mom. That's really cool.
I actually have her platinum. She got a platinum record from Lionel, and it hangs in my office. Actually, I don't know if you know that. So there's a big platinum.
I didn't know that.
Big platinum record for the sales, how many albums that it was purchased for, and it's hanging up right in my office. So, and that's what, our supervisor brags about that there's a platinum album hanging up in the studio there. So it's in my office, in my studio. Guys, hilarious. Anyway.
Well, that is so cool. And I learned so much about your mom and so much about you today, Shanon. Thank you so much for chatting, because those were great stories.
Are we done?
Oh, we don't have to. Can you think of anything else that you want to say before we go?
I didn't even get to change my name or anything.
Oh, well, you can do it once. Here, you can change it to this. Okay, so last week I had a guest, a gentleman guest, who actually came to my home to sit on my couch for the interview, which was pretty cool. So he had asked for green M&Ms as part of his rider. So I got a box of M&Ms, and perfect. Writer Rebecca, reader Shanon. I love it. Anyway, so I went out and bought some green M&Ms and some candy for him. And I have an extra, I'm going to send this to you by mail. I have for you, Shanon, a Big Hunk chocolate bar.
Big Hunk?
Big Hunk. This is on its way to you. I'm not trying to come on you. This is nothing sexual. This is just, I happen to buy a Big Hunk chocolate bar. There's nothing, I'm not saying anything here. This is just, you're a married man, but it's a big hunk.
Look at you holding that thing and explaining. You're a married man, but I'm sitting in this big hunk
thing that I'm going to send you.
It's going over really well right now.
No, I just had an extra, but it is kind of, the big hunk is broken, because when I was running here this morning to get on air with you, I hit the door frame in my bedroom with the Big Hunk chocolate bar, and I felt it snap. So the Big Hunk is snapped. So just be ready for it to be broken. But I don't know. You'll have to tell me if it's good.
Is that your main sponsor for the show? Is that your main sponsor for the show?
Oh, no, but I should call the Big Hunk company and see if they'd like to sponsor me. I don't even know what company makes them. So I don't know. It's not on there. But anyway. Oh, Annabelle's Big Hunk. It's Annabelle's Big Hunk. Okay. So I'll send that to you, and I'll let Annabelle know that we gave her lots of promotion.
All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you. And I know the only problem with it is I could talk all day once I get chatting with somebody. I look so forward to Sunday mornings, because this is great. We're just sitting in our kitchen and chatting. So I love it. But anyway, Thank you, reader Shanon.
If you ever need somebody to fill in for you, I mean, I can get my wig and my glasses and then be like, I'm Rebecca Watson.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I didn't know you had an alter ego. Rebecca Watson.
I could be Rebecca Watson. And yeah.
That'd be excellent. I didn't realize you had a wig and glasses, but maybe I will have to fall back on that sometime soon. Because if I run out of guests, I'll be looking for you, Shanon.
Yeah, you can interview Rebecca Watson anytime.
Okay, I will. Keep the wig ready. And I'm sending the Big Hunk your way. Perfect. So be ready for the Big Hunk.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for talking.
Thank you, Shanon, so much. That was awesome. And I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and we finally got a comment. Wait, we got a comment. I just want to, this is a comment from Mark. And Mark says, where's Mark? Wait, it's here. I'm still learning how to work all this software. Love it. Thanks, Mark. Okay, Shanon, thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. The Big Hunk is on its way to you.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. See ya.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.